We're live. All right, me and Rocco here. What's going on, everyone? Monday, a quieter day in the market, much below average volume, about 50% below regular volume, I believe is what we closed with. A little bit close to 50% off. So kind of like a holiday-ish type vibe. Lower volume. We'll see what moved the markets. S&P closed up 1%. Volatility down by about 3%. Let me share my screen here. It's been a couple of days since the video. Last time I did this, I think the Sixers were still alive in the playoffs. So that seems like a long time ago. And now the next series starts tonight. Knicks Pacers. Those Pacers are for real. I think it's going to be a good long series. All right, let's share the Scrizzle. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so today, like a lower volume day on the S&P, 44 million SPY traded. Typically, it's around 70, 75, 80 million. So definitely a discounted volume day. Silver and commodities rally today. I tried to get different signals, other things that popped up, but this was a very single-minded type day to the upside in many cases, or in one case. So silver and commodities rally while India falls. Really, only one thing was down today. Not to say it was up and away, but there was really one area that was down. India down pretty hard. So I'll take a look at the charts, see if they're setting up, things like that. Last week spoken, silver was, we were waiting for that pullback and a consolidation and a basing and see where it goes from here. Maybe today was the lift for just that, and the same thing with commodities and maybe even specific, maybe oil. We'll see how that's affected. Uranium, you also see it has a big jump up. And just best trades some last Monday till today. Long nat gas, speaking of commodity. Long ARKG, which is, heavily biotechs. And short Bitcoin, the third best trade in the market. So let's take a look at all that. All right. Maximize the screen. Boopity boppity. All right. Let me pull up here. All right. So here is the SPY on the 1-year chart. It's funny. I was saying the 507, 508 level is huge, humongous. Wanted to see what happened when it got to that level. And then after closer to 510 in SPY, 5100-ish in the S&P 500, I want to know if it had a last gasp to that midway point of its upper Bollinger Band, essentially in SPY terms, between 507 and a 524. That middle gasp is pretty much exactly where we closed today. And we'll look at this a little bit in the other chart. I would think this would be the last gasp, and then we hover right around that 507, 508, 510 line for like another couple of weeks. But I did see the VXX makes a new 52-week low today, which usually positions me as more upside. But we'll see. VXX is also, I know it's tough to, like I said, chart a non-time series chart series or security like the VIX. But anyway, you can tell here the top Bollinger Band as well, 520. The new all-time highs would be at 525. Seems pretty far away from where we are. And also, like pretty much the bulk of earnings are done in about a week. Like the big movers, then you get into retail and smaller cap names. I think we just based for here for a while, right around that 5 to call it broadly 505 to 510, which would mean right here at 517 you're a bit overdone, overextended. We'll say. I'm not getting crazy bullish from here. I think you might have another gasp or so. But I think have a bearish 2 to 3 weeks ahead of us. Not anything horrendous, but a trade down to that 507, 508 mark, which would be at $8 or about 1.5%. So a lot of just going sideways. All right, big move up today in silver. The biggest up move today, up 3.5%. That is a big one. Let me see here what this looks like. This looks good. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. If you're waiting for the confirmation, so we had based around here underneath all the support, essentially the lows from earlier this month. I like this. I'm also looking at rising moving averages and a break above its 21 EMA or exponential moving average. I like an entry above 2465 on this with a target of around 2690. I'm going to write this on my sheet. 2690 would be right around here on the top of that or the bottom of that wick on the candle the day of the high, April 12th. I like this. Be ready to stomach some volatility, especially if you do think that the market goes sideways with a down-ish bias for the next week or 2 or 3. Silver is a nice buy. This would, I think, be worth punting on some call spreads, probably like a June. I have to look at the contracts. These are cheap, so be careful because you spend a lot of commission buying these contracts. I have to check, but I would do something like a 24 half, maybe 27, and look at different calendar structures on the credit side. So I like that one, though. This looks ripe. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of the flavor for the commodities. But silver looks good. It looks ready. I'm not going to look at gold just yet because it didn't make such a big bang today. PDBC, the broader commodity basket, also a big jump higher. Let me say, almost very similar in terms of basing for a bit, a little bit to the downside, still rising, moving averages, kind of resistance here from the 200-day overhead. The other one looks better. I like silver more than this broader basket. It has much more momentum, considering the high here was back in September of last year. So I definitely like silver much more than going into this. The airlines were up big today, up 2.6%. Let's see. This has been an attractive space. This looks a little overdone. I don't want to be buying with nearly a 21 handle. If anything, give this a couple 2 weeks or so. I'd like to get around 20 quarter with a target of around 21 half. But right here, I'm not interested in playing. No setup cleanly for me here, but airlines a big move up today. Uranium a big move up. Let's see if this is setting up. Silver so far looks like top dog. I like that for a buy imminent. Now, this uranium is very toppy already. I don't like buying stuff. I understand if you're buying out the breakout type trader, and that's actually here at the 52-week. I believe that might be an all-time high for uranium, 32 double. Or 55. That's 80 cents or about 3% away, 2.5%. I don't love it. This reminds me a little bit of the market right here, just a little bit toppy. Could have a little bit more gasp up there, but silver, again, one of my favorites. And the gold miner juniors. I tried to keep it different, but these are the only things that moved up today in a big way in a sector, subsector, geographical ETF way. This looks good. This looks similar, obviously, like this as due to its correlation with silver. This looks interesting. Very similar basing in the past 2 weeks. The high, I believe, was even put on the same day. Was April 12th this high? It was very similar. You could play with liquidity and see what gives you better bang for buck and in terms of what you're paying for IV or implied vol. Yeah, the 21 EMA is 40.84. It punched through that. I think this gets to 45, which would be a new high. I think we were projecting the same thing for silver. So I might look at silver versus GDXJ. You can also do a pairs trade or an iron condor where you buy spread and sell spread. And you can do that in terms of basically 4 legs for GDXJ and then 4 legs for silver. It's going to cost you a lot, though. So make sure your risk reward is set up properly. But I kind of like that. You can also, if you want to be lazy, you can just buy and sell stock. I think there's similar volatility. So you can buy SLV and sell GDXJ. And that way you're kind of going to participate in this move. India, a big move down. The more popular ETF, INDA, was down as well. I don't think it was down nearly as much. It was down 70 bips, 75 bips. Yeah, so this one had a harder move due to the constituency of whatever specific name had more of a weighting in this. This looks overdone. It cleanly looks like, it was 52-week highs, so I don't want to say it got decayed, knocked down. But this is what I kind of see with the S&P. It had this nice rally, and I just think it's going to consolidate for a bit. But the trend is very strong on this one. If this could give it a couple of weeks, this had some tough times over here. I remember looking at this closely in mid to late March at 42. This is a lower vol name. If this could hover around here for the next 2 weeks, say you have a global kind of just a more basing in trading. If you can get this around 44, I like it to a target of 46. Like I said, a lower vol. All right, top 5 gainers of the past 5 days. No repeats. Nat Gas, the top dog of the past 5 days. Zoom in because it's such a piece of crapola. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right from down here, essentially, we'll call it from 14.50 to 16. So this is up. I have here 7%. It's up 2.6 today. Let me look at the setup. I'm glad I don't have put spreads on this. Like I said, the characteristics were changing. This is bucking the trend, although I think it's hitting its head right here at the top band around 1640. I have it on a couple of different time frames, and this thing looks heavy right around here. So, and I don't like it in terms of the duration. I don't think we want to do put spreads right here right now. So wait for things to come in. ARCG or the genomics or biotechs, the second best area of the market of the past week, up 7%. So very near the same amount of UNG. Let me zoom out for a 1 year. Yeah, so I'm getting an overbought sell notification alert on from one of my data providers due to its resistance. Again, right there, that's an ugly candle right here where it closed on the lows, traversed all the way to high of day, and then it closed, like I said, open right here at the lows, trades all the way up, and then it closes at the lows. Not a very exuberant base. And then here today, I mean, it was up to 1.9%, but I don't like this heavy resistance. Overbought sell makes a bit of sense, and it's got near its upper Bollinger Band. Yeah, I think this probably tracks lower, maybe not quite to 22, but I think this is headed towards, maybe towards 23. This area, it looks like this ran a little bit too much. Not to say it's done here, but I could have another day or two, but I don't want to enter with a 25, 26 handle. K-Web, third best name in the market, up 6% in the past week. 5.9 to be exact. Let's look at this. On a 1 year, yeah, this looks done. I mean, you could have said this for several days. Let's say a sentiment change, overbought for the first time all year. So marks of a superstar, also marks of a breather, might need some breath. But look at this. The 52-week high, if you are a true superstar, is right there at 31.90. This is crazy. It was down 1/3% today. I just think this moves closer to 27.70. I think this has to come down just a little bit. It might not have to be today, but this could be a good first sign. I think it starts to come lower. If it falls, it could really fall, but it has been very impressive. KRE, regional banks, the fourth best long in the market over the past week, up 5% or an average of 1% per day. Today, up 0.8. You can already tell, hitting the upper shade, upper blue shade. It's the upper Bollinger Band. And this isn't a mega vol asset class, so that unless you get a massive vol expansion, these levels do typically mean something to me. I think this is going to have a date back to 48 pretty soon. So all these things are kind of emblematic. It makes sense to me that I think the market pulls back. A lot of areas have pulled due to positioning at times. Chinese internet in China here, FXI, a nice segue, fifth best long of the week, up 4.4%. This was a absolute loser, going back to last year, absolute bottom in January. And now look at this, again, character change, overbought this thing since end of April. Pretty crazy. All that being said, even a bullish target, I would think this consolidates and heads back to 25.20, right around here. These are meaningful levels. These are long-term moving averages. That black line is a 200-day or 10-month moving average. So pretty important. Then you have this bunching here, even though rising. So indicative of a sentiment change. I like it, but 25.20 and move down from here. That's a 10%. So be careful. I kind of like those areas from the short side. I might be putting on silver and short, maybe one of these, but just be careful due to the new sentiment change potentially. All right, and the worst trades in the market from the short. So loser today up 1.7, but this has been a loser, the biggest loser in the market for the past week, down 6.7% over the past 5 days. I know I like the setup. I like the setup. Let me see. This has been basing, not basing. I don't like this. I think this is called a descending triangle. I don't like this pattern. It does look like it should at least mean revert here to about 27.5, but that's getting a little bit far away here. I don't know what that is. Quick back of the napkin math, like 7% or something. Still like the momentum overall, rising 200-day. This is how you get paid in Bitcoin through volatility. There is kind of becoming a convergence of importance of levels around that 27, honestly 27 level, like I said here. So I think it might reverse. I think you might have a market sell-off or basing, a little bit of downward bias, and a flocking to Bitcoin. I don't know. Just some of the pieces are falling together. It's what my call is. We'll see. The Ags is the second biggest loser of the past week, down 5% or an average of 1 per day. Today was down 0.8. This looks a little done. It's actually coming to support levels. I think this should have a mean reversion pop if it were to do so to a 24.95, right around here, this level in between these lines, middle Bollinger Band and the 50-day moving average. I think it should do that. This is a strong player. This hit its 52-week highs on the 24th. So this was just a sharp correction after just a week. It went from 26.40 to 23.45 and now is moving. Could be ready. This one might need a little bit more time to sell just because of how far it came. You might want this to settle a little bit, especially with it being down again today. VXX. Did we do this one already? No, not yet. So VXX is going to be tough to see the chart. That is a 52-week low. So typically when I see that structurally, just knowing that puts and calls, implied vol is getting cheap, has to deal with broker dealer gamma exposures and other things in terms of price of vol is being paid from OTTEs and retail across institutions as well. A 52-week low, 1245 close. Wow. Or 1241 close. Wow. This looks ripe. I think it could fall a little bit more to new lows. I have a 12 floor for this. That would be if things really gave out. But this also supports my thesis of a bit that this is a little bit done. I would have just a little bit of a garden variety pullback to basing in the SPY, a little bit more defensive trading, and this gets a little bit of a dead cat bounce. But the overall trend, I would say, is SPY still higher. I think it digested a lot of adverse things in the market very well. USO, we were talking about, nat gas being the best performer, oil one of the worst performers, down 5% in the past week. Let's zoom out. I know I was looking for an entry to this as well, or silver. I don't really need all of them. This looks good. This is at support levels as well, USO. Interesting. This looks nice. Its highs were on April 12th at $83. This has support at 76. I mean, it could wiggle a little bit. It was up 0.7 today. So looks like a nice entry if you remotely believe in the story. I do. This looks like I think it's going to bounce to 78.5, which would be $3 from here. So it's like a good trade. I don't think you're totally overexposed to commodities if you do silver and USO oil. Maybe weight them appropriately so they represent one full position, like into commodities, or you could buy a basket. But I like this as well. Again, I think potentially a defensive period for the market for the next 2 weeks. And then cows, one of the worst trades of the past week, down 2%. This typically is very close with IWM for the most part. So small caps. Let me see this. It basically rallied off the lows to this, these mean reversion of a bunch of longer term moving averages and shorter term. And that's where we currently sit at around 55 a share. No real opinion on this. All right. So best three absolute trades of the week: long nat gas, long biotech. So you're getting pretty rich in the, what they're buying in terms of volatility and losers and believing in reversals. And short Bitcoin, the superstar of the past year and 3 years. So just a couple signs lets me think that we're going to hover around that, 510 or 5100 level in SPY. All right. Anything else? I think that is it. All right. Till next time. Peace, y'all.